Welcome everybody, this is Alan with Daily Armour of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. This is reading the Old Testament, 88 days. We're on day 79. And we'll be finishing up Jeremiah. We'll be reading chapters 46 through 52 today. So let's get started in Jeremiah 46, verse 1. The word of Yahweh which came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Gentiles, against Egypt, against the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. Order ye the buckler and shield, and draw near to battle. Harness the horses, and get up, ye horsemen, and stand forth with your helmets. Furbish the spears, and put on the brigandines. Wherefore have I seen them dismayed and turn away back, and their mighty ones are beaten down, and are fled apace, and look not back, for fear was round about, saith Yahweh. Let not the swift flee away, nor the mighty man escape. They shall stumble and fall toward the north by the river Euphrates. Who is this that cometh up as a flood, whose waters are moved as the rivers? Egypt riseth up like a flood, and his waters are moved like the rivers. And he saith, I will go up and cover the earth, I will destroy the city and the inhabitants thereof. Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Lydians that handle and bend the bow. For this is the day of the Lord Elohim of hosts, a day of vengeance, that he may avenge him of his adversaries. And the sword shall devour, and it shall be satiate, and made drunk with the blood. For the Lord Elohim of hosts hath a sacrifice to the north country by the river Euphrates. Go up into Gilead, and take balm, O virgin, the daughter of Egypt. In vain shalt thou use many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured. The nations have heard of thy shame, and thy cry hath filled the land. For the mighty man hath stumbled against the mighty, and they are fallen both together. The word that Yahweh spake to Jeremiah the prophet, how Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, should come and smite the land of Egypt. Declare ye in Egypt, and publish in Migdol, and publish in Noph and Taphanes. Say ye, stand fast and prepare thee, for the sword shall devour round about thee. Why are thy valiant men swept away? They stood not, because Yahweh did drive them out. He made many to fall, yea, one fell upon another, and they said, Arise, let us go again to our people, into the land of our nativity, from the oppressing word. It did cry there, Pharaoh king of Egypt is but a noise, he hath passed the time appointed. As I live, saith the king, whose name is Yahweh of hosts, surely as Tabor is among the mountains, and as Carmel by the sea, so shall he come. O thou daughter dwelling in Egypt, furnish thyself to go into captivity, for Noph shall be waste and desolate without an inhabitant. Egypt is like a very fair heifer, but destruction cometh, it cometh out of the north. Also her hired men are in the midst of her like fatted bullocks. For they also are turned back and are fled away together. They did not stand, because the day of their calamity was come upon them, and the time of their visitation. The voice thereof shall go like a serpent, for they shall march with an army, and come against her with axes as hewers of wood. They shall cut down her forest, saith Yahweh, though it cannot be searched, because they are more than the grasshoppers, and they are innumerable. The daughter of Egypt shall be confounded, she shall be delivered into the hand of the people of the north. Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, saith, Behold, I will punish the multitude of No, and Pharaoh, and Egypt, with their gods and their kings, even Pharaoh and all them that trust in him. And I will deliver them into the hand of those that seek their lives, and into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants. And afterward it shall be inhabited, as in the days of old, saith Yahweh. But fear not thou, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel, for behold, I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and be like the rest at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, saith Yahweh, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but correct thee in measure, yet will I not leave thee wholly unpunished. Jeremiah 47. The word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines, before that Pharaoh smote Gaza. Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and shall overflow the land, and all that is therein, the city, and them that dwell therein. Then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl, at the noise of the stamping of the hoofs of strong horses, at the rushing of his chariots, and at the rumbling of his wheels. The fathers shall not look back to their children for feebleness of hands, because of the day that cometh to spoil all the Philistines, and to cut off from Tyrus and Zidon every helper that remaineth. For Yahweh will spoil the Philistines, the remnant of the country of Caphtor. Baldness is come upon Gaza, Ashkelon is cut off with the remnant of their valley. How long wilt thou cut thyself? O thou sword of Yahweh, how long will it be ere thou be quiet? Put up thyself into thy scabbard, and rest, and be still. How can it be quiet, seeing Yahweh hath given it a charge against Ashkelon, and against the seashore? There hath he appointed it. Jeremiah 48. Against Moab, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Woe unto Nebo, for it is spoiled. Kirathaim is confounded and taken, Mizgab is confounded and dismayed. There shall be no more praise of Moab, and Heshbon, they have devised evil against it. Come and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also thou shalt be cut down, O madmen. The sword shall pursue thee. A voice of crying shall be from a Horonaim, spoiling and great destruction. Moab is destroyed, her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For in the going up of Luhith, continual weeping shall go up. For in the going down of Horonaim, the enemies have heard a cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken, and Cheshma shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. And the spoiler shall come up upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed, as Yahweh hath spoken. Give wings unto Moab, that it may flee and get away, for the cities thereof shall be desolate, without any to dwell therein. Cursed be he that doeth the work of Yahweh deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. Moab hath been at ease from his youth, and he hath settled on his lease, and hath not been emptied from vessel to vessel, neither hath he gone into captivity. Therefore his taste remained in him, and his scent is not changed. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will send unto him wanderers, that shall cause him to wander, and shall empty his vessels and break their bottles. Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their confidence. How say ye, we are mighty and strong men for the war? Moab is spoiled and gone up out of her cities, and his chosen young men are going down to the slaughter, saith the King, whose name is Yahweh of hosts. The calamity of Moab is near to come, and his affliction hasteth fast. All ye that are about him bemoan him, and all ye that know his name say, How is the strong staff broken and the beautiful rod? Thou daughter that dost inhabit Dibon, come down from thy glory, and sit in thirst. For the spoiler of Moab shall come upon thee, and he shall destroy thy strongholds. O inhabitant of Arar, stand by the way in Espi. Ask him that fleeth and her that escapeth, and say, What is done? Moab is confounded, for it is broken down. Howl and cry, tell ye it in Arnon, that Moab is spoiled. And judgment is come upon the plain country, upon Holon, and upon Jahazah, and upon Mephath, and upon Dibon, and upon Nebo, and upon Beth-Diblathaim, and upon Kirjathaim, and upon Beth-Gamol, and upon Beth-Meon, and upon Keroth, and upon Bozrah, and upon all the cities of the land of Moab, far or near. The horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, saith Yahweh. Make ye him drunken, for he magnified himself against Yahweh. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit, and he shall be in derision. For was not Israel derision unto thee? Was he found among thieves? For since thou spakest of him, thou skippest for joy. O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities, and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. Ye have heard the pride of Moab. He is exceeding proud, his loftiness and his arrogancy, and his pride and the haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, saith Yahweh, but it shall not be so. His life shall not so affect it. Therefore will I howl for Moab, and will cry out for all Moab. Mine heart shall mourn for the men of Kirheres. O vine of Sibmah, I will weep for thee with the weeping of Jazer. Thy plants are gone over the sea, they reach even to the sea of Jazer. The spoiler is fallen upon thy summer fruits and upon thy vintage. And joy and gladness is taken from the plentiful field and from the land of Moab, and I have caused wine to fail from the winepresses. None shall be treated with shouting, their shouting shall be no shouting. From the city of Heshbon even unto Elilah, and even unto Jahaz, they have uttered their voice from Zor even unto Horonaim, as a heifer of 3 years old. For the waters also of Nimrin shall be desolate. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places, and him that burneth incense to his gods. Therefore mine heart shall sound for Moab like pipes, and mine heart shall sound like pipes for the man of Kirheres, because the riches that he hath gotten are perished. For every head shall be bald, and every beard clipped, and upon the hands shall be cuttings, upon the loins sackcloth. There shall be lamentation generally upon all the housetops of Moab, and in the streets thereof. For I have broken Moab like a vessel, wherein is no pleasure, saith Yahweh. They shall howl, saying, How is it broken down? How hath Moab turned the back with shame? So shall Moab be a derision and a dismay to all them about him. For thus saith Yahweh, Behold, he shall fly as an eagle, and shall spread his wings over Moab. Kerioth is taken, the strongholds are surprised, and the mighty man's heart in Moab at that day shall be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he hath magnified himself against Yahweh. Fear and the pit and the snare shall be upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, saith Yahweh. He that fleeth from the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that getteth up out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For I will bring upon it, even upon Moab, the year of their visitation, saith Yahweh. They that fled stood under the shadow of Heshbon because of the force. But a fire shall come forth out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sihon, and shall devour the quarter of Moab, and the crown of the head of the tumultuous ones. Woe be unto thee, O Moab, the people of Cheshmosh perisheth. For thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Yahweh. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. Jeremiah 49. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith Yahweh, Hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire, and then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith Yahweh. Howl, O Heshbon, for Ai is spoiled. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro by the hedges. For their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. Wherefore gloriest thou in the valleys, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that trusted in her treasures, saying, Who shall come unto me? Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Lord Elohim of hosts, from all those that be about thee, and ye shall be driven out every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wandereth. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith Yahweh. Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, and I will bring calamity of Esau upon him, in the time that I will visit him. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare, and I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled in his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive. And let thy widows trust in me, for thus saith Yahweh, Behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as an eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Also Edom shall be a desolation, every one that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, at the cry of the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Concerning Damascus, Hamath is confounded, and Arphad. For they have heard evil tidings, they are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea, it cannot be quiet. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee, and fear hath seized on her. Anguish and sorrows have taken her as a woman in travail. How is the city of praise not left, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts. Now kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the places of Benhadad. Concerning Kedar, and concerning the kingdoms of Hazor, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon shall smite. Thus saith Yahweh, Arise ye, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east. Their tents and their flocks shall they take away, and they shall take to themselves their curtains, and all their vessels and their camels, and they shall cry unto them. Fear is on every side. Flee and get you far off, dwell deep, O ye inhabitants of Hazor, saith Yahweh, for Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon hath taken counsel against you, and hath deceived a purpose against you. Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care, saith Yahweh, which have neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone. And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil, and I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith Yahweh. And Hazor shall be a dwelling for dragons, and a desolation forever. There shall no man abide there, nor any son of man dwell in it. The word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might, and upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four corners of heaven, and will scatter them toward those winds, and there shall no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. For I will cause the Lamb to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life, and will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith Yahweh, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith Yahweh. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith Yahweh. Jeremiah 50. The word that Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the city, the land of the Chaldeans, by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish, and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces, and her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. In those days, in that time, saith Yahweh, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek Yahweh, their Elohim. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces to their words, saying, Come and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people hath been lost sheep, their shepherds have caused them to go astray, they have turned them away on the mountains, they have gone from mountain to hill, They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, We offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out to the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as a heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of Yahweh it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished, and hiss at her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against Yahweh. Shout against her round about, she hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest, for fear of the oppressing sword shall they turn every one to his own people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. Israel is a scattered sheep, the lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last this Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon hath broken his bones. Therefore thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation. He shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days, in that time, saith Yahweh, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found, for I will pardon them whom I reserve. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith Yahweh, and do according to all that I have commanded them. A sound of battle is in the land, and of a great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. Yahweh hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord Elohim of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh, our Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon, camp against it round about, and let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done. Do unto her, for she hath been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith Yahweh. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord Elohim of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong, Yahweh of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land, and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Yahweh, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is a land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owls that dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance, and they are cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swine of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her, and who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like unto me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Jeremiah 51. Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth up himself in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Elohim, of Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, and made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, this and is lifted up even to the skies. Yahweh hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh, our Elohim. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of Medes. For his device is against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, for Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Yahweh of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up as a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heavens by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rains, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish by his knowledge, every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. A portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahweh. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Yahweh, which destroys all the earth, and will stretch up mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take thee of a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Minni, Ashchenaz, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of Medes, captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne the fight, and have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed, they become as women, they have burned her dwelling places, her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds have they burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon hath devoured me, he hath crushed me, he hath made me an empty vessel, he hath swallowed me up like a dragon, he hath filled his belly with my delicates, he hath cast me out. A violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon. Shall the inhabitant of Zion say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea? Shall Jerusalem say, therefore thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, and an astonishment, and a hissing, without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat will I make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice, and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith Yahweh. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. How is Sheshach taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Bel in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. You know, this is interesting. I've heard of this Bel before, Bel and the Dragon. It's actually it's a book. Well, some people say that some books of the Bible were taken out, the Apocrypha, and some people say that it should have been in. Some people say it should not be in. Either way, there is a book called Bel and the Dragon. I just think that's interesting. Like I said before, anytime you read that sort of stuff, just pray that the Holy Spirit will guide you and lead you, so you don't just blindly trust it, but also it just makes an interesting read. So, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahweh. And lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith Yahweh. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Yet that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still, remember Yahweh afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of Yahweh's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall the spoilers come unto her, saith Yahweh. A sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because Yahweh hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed her out of the great voice, when her waves do roar like great waters, the noise of their voices uttered. Because the spoilers come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken, for Yahweh, Elohim of recompenses, shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes, and her wise men, and her captains, and her rulers, and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is Yahweh of hosts. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Sariah the son of Neriah the son of Messiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah unto Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and this Sariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise up from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. And Jeremiah 52. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For though the anger of Yahweh, it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, till he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And in the 4th month, the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled, and went forth out of the city by night, by the way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden, now about the Chaldeans, or by the city round about. And they went by the way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then took the king and carried him up unto the king of Babylon in Ribnah in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. The king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in chains, and carried him to Babylon, and put him in prison till the day of his death. Now in the 5th month, and the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem, and burned the house of Yahweh, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burned he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the captain of the guard brake down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuchadnezzar, captain of the guard, carried away captive certain of the poor of the people, and the residue of the people that remained in the city by those that fell away, that fell to the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left certain of the poor in the land for vine dressers and for husbandmen. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of Yahweh, and the bases and the brass and sea that was in the house of Yahweh, the Chaldeans brake and carried all the brass of them to Babylon. The cauldrons also, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, took they away. And the basins, and the firepans, and the bowls, and the cauldrons, and the candlesticks, and the spoons, and the cups, that which was of gold in gold, that which was of silver in silver, took the captain of the guard away. The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and 12 brassen bowls that were under the bases, which King Solomon had made in the house of Yahweh, the brass of all the vessels was without weight. And concerning the pillars, the height of 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and a fillet of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow. And a chapiter of brass was upon it, and the height of one chapiter was 5 cubits, with a network of pomegranates upon the chapiters round about, all of brass. The second pillar also, and the pomegranates were like unto these. And there were 96 pomegranates on the side, and the pomegranates upon the network were 100 round about. The captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He also took of the city an eunuch, which he had charge of the men of war, and 7 men of them that were near the king's person, which were found in the city, and the principal scribe of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land that were found in the midst of the city. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them and put them to death in Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive out of his own land. This is the people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive in the 7th year, 3,000 Jews and 23. The 18th year, Nebuchadnezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzardan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. All the persons were 4,600. And it came to pass in the 7th and 13th year of captivity, Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, and the 25th day of the month, that evil Merodach, king of Babylon. Oh man, I think that's so interesting. Evil. His name is Evil Merodach. King of Babylon, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, and brought him forth out of prison, and spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments, and he did continually eat bread before him all the days of his life. And for his diet there was a continual diet given to him of the king of Babylon, every day a portion until the end of the day of his death, all the days of his life. Okay. That's going to be it for today, guys. That's the end of Jeremiah. You know, looking back on what we've read, and that when they brought up King Solomon, if you think about basically in King Solomon's time, it was the most prosperous, the most peaceful, the most wealthiest time ever in all of history. And there will never be a more prosperous time ever again. In that regards of material wealth and physical things. Obviously, in heaven it'll be prosper, but as for stuff on the earth, there'll never be a more prosperous and wealthy time. And it's just sad to see all the warnings and all the evil that they did and the downfall of Jerusalem, and thinking how great the temple was, how big it was, how intricate, so many intricacies of the temple that probably took a lot of time and resources, and it's just all destroyed for naught. Everything got destroyed. The walls of Jerusalem, everything, exactly like what was prophesied. It became desolate, a heap of stones. And it's just sad, but there's a lesson to be learned here. There's many lessons, actually. One of them, obviously, is to listen to the Lord. But we should learn from other people's mistakes rather than making them ourselves, because there is a price to pay for making mistakes ourselves. A very high cost, a very high price. So that's why we must always rely on God and trust in Him and follow Him. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have a great evening, morning, noon, wherever you're at. And as always, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. God bless. Remember to put God first in everything you do. Have faith in Him. Have trust in Him. And keep waiting upon Him. You'll never be sorry. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll start Lamentations, and also we will be reading Ezekiel. So we'll read all of Lamentations and start a little bit on Ezekiel. So thanks again. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.